your hand in your skirt, 'cause keep your hand in your skirt is a fun way to remind yourself to mind your own business. You are a woman who manages her own set point, so ladies, keep your hand in your skirt.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sabrina. Keep your hand in your skirt. Is your hand all up in your skirt? Are you minding your own business? Today's topic is LGBTQ+. What do you know about LGBTQ+? Are you in the community? Do you want to be in the community? Are you a supporter? Are you an ally? I heard a fantastic podcast on, I'll put the link included in this, so you can check out this video, but it is with this amazing woman. She's being interviewed on what it was like to find out, to admit that she is gay, and what it was like in her family, how it affected her, how it, people's projections, and it was so eye-opening to me. It, you know, I don't know, like, I am so proud of how far we've become, right? How far the collective has become, how much more comfortable people are being able to have freedom to express whoever they are, their authentic personality, people to be able to express their gender, to express their sexuality, right? We've made a lot of progress. That being said, celebrate that. That being said, there's still so much more that can unfold, right? There's still so much more that can develop to create an even safer space, an even more equal space. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about this podcast that I heard, tell you a little bit about my story, what I've experienced. First of all, I sensed that my child was in the LGBTQ community, but I didn't know. And I didn't know what to do. As a parent, like as a parent, what do you do, right? So I had started Googling. There's a really great show on YouTube. Oh, I wish I could think of what it was called. Something, It Gets Better or something like that. And there's all these different people being interviewed talking about that, coming out of the closet, coming out, and some of the very hurtful, terrible challenges that they went through, but how it does get better. I think it's called It Gets Better. And so I listened to these different people, and when I was watching this YouTube series, I discovered one of the reoccurring things that people who were being interviewed shared is the heaviest weight, or the heaviest thing about coming out, was the fear or the concern of telling family, of telling people in their close circle. So, right? So I'm like, oh, so as a parent, I thought, what could I do in case there was someone in my family, one of my children, both my children, what could I say or do so they wouldn't have that anxiety? They wouldn't have to have that internal stress of being concerned about making their statement. So I didn't know what to do. All I would do is, in conversation about other people, other things, I would just share my beliefs. A person loves who they love. There should be no judgment in that. There should be no discrimination in that. You love who you love. So I tried to do that. One time I went to the movie, I don't know if you've seen it, I think it's called Love, Simon, and it's about this teenager, right, this athletic teenager who goes against the stereotypical, what is defined as a feminine, right, as a gay child or a teenager, and he was he's an athlete, right? He's good looking, doesn't appear to be in the LGBTQ community. And he had made the comment, like, why did he have to announce his sexual desires or his preferences, right? If you're heterosexual, you don't have to announce it. You don't have to sit everybody down and say, family, I have an important announcement. I have an important thing to share. You guys ready? Like, okay, it's really important. Guess what? I am attracted to the opposite sex. You don't make that announcement, right? That announcement is not made. It's just assumed. It's just assumed. So won't it be wonderful when we get to a place in our civilization, in our culture, where no one assumes anything, right? No one assumes anything. And it was interesting. I was with my parents one day, and my parents had asked if my son had a girlfriend. And I caught it, right? And I went, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I said, or boyfriend. And they looked at me like, what? Are you making an announcement? But I didn't. I had no announcement to make. But my point was that I caught that they assumed if he was dating somebody, it would be of the opposite gender. So I caught, like I could catch it, and I'm like, we can't assume, right? The now generation, we live in a new world. You can't assume anything. You can't project anything. And then I said, that's not the right way to ask the question. And my parents are like, oh, right? They meant no harm. They love my child, right? We've just been raised. We've just been trained, right? The old way that we used to talk, but now we need to be mindful of the new way to talk. So then I said the appropriate way to ask that question, not does my grandson have a girlfriend? That's the old way of asking. The new way of asking would be, is my grandson romantically interested in anyone? Is my grandson dating anyone, right? And like for me, just learning to reframe things, to rewire the way I communicate, the way I ask, and not project, because, right, like not projecting. So then if a person ever, whatever they want to do, they don't feel like they have to make an announcement. Oh, guess what, everybody? Do, 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 do. So I just like thought that was really important. And then what was really cool, like with my parents, it didn't occur to me that I should be concerned that they would judge him or me. I just expected whomever he cares about, it's not an issue, because it is not an issue. And I realized after that conversation, I was like really happy that I just expected it not to be an issue, because it's not an issue. And I like functioning from that awareness, that knowing that my dominant energy in the room is, this is not a big deal, so it's not a big deal, because it's not a big deal. You love who you love, you date who you date. No big deal about that. But just to have the awareness of that. In this video, this podcast that I recently heard this week that is so, so, so good, and this woman shares her story, unintentionally, so many people say and do things that are hurtful. Unintentionally, people say and do things that causes a lot of damage. And I heard this great thing, maybe it was from Brene Brown. It was so good. Someone says, even if you don't intend to hurt someone, right? If I punch you, but I didn't intend for you to have pain, you still experience the pain of getting punched. So intention doesn't matter, right? And even though you can say, well, I didn't mean to hurt my child. I didn't mean to say something offensive. I didn't mean to be, discriminating LGBTQ+. I didn't mean to. You still have to take accountability and responsibility, because intent doesn't take away the pain. Intent doesn't take away the experience of feeling punched, of being punched energetically, emotionally, right? Your words or actions could still hurt someone, even though it's not your intention. So you do have to take accountability and responsibility for that. And we want to go past saying, oh, well, it's not my intention. They know I love them. That's right. Like, that might be true. But now take accountability and responsibility. You got to become mindful. You got to, right? You can't just have good intentions. You can't just love people and use that as a permission slip to be able to say and do and show up however you want. Nope, accountability, responsibility. So in this podcast, it's so good. She does talk about at the time she was raised, right? She's, you know, not the young generation like my son, a little bit older, but when she was raised, she was also left-handed. And at that time, like, it was a projection. Oh, you don't want to be left-handed. Your life will be so much harder. So they forced her to write and do things with her right hand, which she says now in the podcast, it's funny. She's just able to write with both hands. It didn't take away her left-handedness, right? She was just born being left-handed. That's her easier hand. That's her dominant hand. But at one time in our culture, at one time in our civilization, that was judged as your life is going to be harder if you're left-handed. Like today, that just seems like, oh my gosh, like how backwards were we? Well, we were, and that's why we're evolving. That's why as a culture, as a collective, we keep evolving, we keep evolving. You know, we want to keep improving. Accept people, allow people, right? But be mindful of how those types of things, can you imagine being born left-handed and being made to feel that there was something wrong with you, that you should feel ashamed that you're left-handed? Like, that is so clearly, obviously ridiculous, right? From our now awareness, from our now perspective, that is like insane. But at one point, right, at one point, that was something that was shamed, that was shunned. So it's just fascinating for me to just dive into this, to dive into choices and awarenesses. So how can you help someone? Do you know someone in the LGBTQ plus community? Do you sense someone is in the community? What's the best thing you can do? Well, again, I don't know. All I knew is for myself, I wanted to start learning from other people who are in the community and what hurt them and what helped them. And everyone's going to be different, so you can't, right? You can't do it across the board, right? We have to customize each case with each person, with each situation. But for me, educating yourself, trying to become mindful, trying to have more awareness is the first step. And what ended up happening with my son is my son ended up sharing with me, and it was actually like no big deal. We were talking about my grandbabies is what happened. And we were talking, you know, because it's always fun to talk about your future grandbabies, right? And so I asked him, right, because like I was trying to set it up. I had, you know, I just was ready, like, just let's come right out and say what we want to say, right? So I just point blank asked him, and I said, if you get married and have grandbabies, do you see you getting married to, like, who do you see you marrying? Do you see yourself marrying a guy or marrying a girl? And I just came right out and asked him. And he just answered, and he's like, oh, if I'd ever choose to get married, it'd probably be with a guy. And it was no big deal, like, right? It was like no big deal, but it came out finally, right? Like, but then what was cool, because he has the freedom, or just because he's an amazing kid, he is doing the journey on his timeline and in his way. And eventually he ended up telling me that he's pan. And apparently, if I understand it right, pan is a person who just loves who you love. Your body, your heart, you just love who you love. So you don't even identify as you're only gay or you're only bisexual. It's just a bigger, broader term, like I love who I love. And that's it. Like I don't have to put myself in a box and say I'm only loving men or I'm only loving women. You just love who you love. I did hear one time on, I think it was an Oprah show a long time ago, and they were talking about we all on the spectrum. We all, like on a, say a scale of 0 to 5 being heterosexual or gay, every single person fluctuates. So some people are the extreme 5, they're only attracted to the opposite sex. Some people are the other extreme, the 0, they're only attracted to the same sex. But this teacher was explaining most people are in the middle, 2, 3, or 4, right? Like most people are in the middle, and it's just a fluid, right? And so I think it makes a lot of sense. You just love who you love. You don't have to be boxed in, labeled in. And especially as a multidimensional being, as a person who I believe we need to stay fluent, we need to, stay inside the spiral, right? Maybe today, right? So like I identify, like I am attracted to the opposite sex, right? That's just what it is. But I don't declare that that's what it has to be forever in the future, because I'm not in the future. I don't know, 10 years from now, maybe I have a different feeling. 20 years from now, maybe I don't know who I'm gonna be. So I don't have to project anything on myself. At this now moment, up until this now moment, I have only found myself attracted to the opposite gender. So last year, to go back to sharing you some more things in my story, last year was the first time our family got to, when the Pride Month came, it was the first time everything, was out in the open. And so I was talking to my lover at the time, and I said, hey, what are we gonna do? Like, what can I do to celebrate? Like, right? Like we can do something this year because we're official. And he had found this amazing article of a mom and a son who did LGBTQ, like the heart, and they did it like on their finger, and they each got like a heart LGBTQ plus colors on their finger. So I showed it to my son, and now I'm a person who does not do tattoos. I do not like tattoos. I'm not a tattoo person, but I showed it to my son, and my son's like, what? And I'm like, let's get pride tattoos. And my son's like, you won't get a tattoo. And I said, yeah, for you, I would. And he's like, for really? And then I showed the picture to my daughter, and I'm like, we're going to get pride tattoos, and, in support of our family. And she's never had a tattoo, and right? None of us had ever had tattoos. And it was super exciting. And everybody was on board, and we all decided we were going to get heart tattoos, with the pride logo on it. And it was one of, I'll cry, right? I'm crying. It was one of the most amazing days of my life, because it felt like not just supporting my family, not just showing up as unconditional love for my family, but it felt like it liberated me. It liberated me in the sense of, I don't have to justify anything to anyone ever. I can be me no matter what. My kids can be them no matter what. F caring about anybody's opinion. Like caring about your opinion or trying to act or be a certain way to make somebody else happy, that has to go, right? That pattern has to go. And so this amazing pride tattoo that I have on, that I literally have imprinted on my body, not only was it one of the best days of my life, it is the best reminder for me to authentically always be me, right? Because living in authenticity, living in integrity with the truth of who I am, and really not caring what the peanut gallery, that's how Abraham would call it, don't care what the peanut gallery thinks. Don't care what people outside of you think. Only thing that matters is me being authentic and integrity to me. me getting to be my original authentic self. And then the more I allow myself to be my unique, individual, authentic, original self, the more freedom I have to let everyone else get to do the same. So, I don't know, you think you're showing up to help somebody else. You think you're showing up, right, to make somebody else's journey a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. But it always comes back to me. And it actually, right, yeah, you actually liberate your own self. And I liberated myself in my unconditional love for my family. I gave myself deeper unconditional love. And, right? And then it just keeps growing and multiplying and amplifying. So please listen to this podcast that I'm telling you about. It's amazing. If you think you have someone in your family, just being mindful, educate yourself, be open, and, I'm just proud of our where we're going. As well as I'm very aware we still have, we still have more to go. There's still a lot more to do for more equality, more acceptance, more allowing, more freedom for every single human being on this planet. So thank you so much for listening. Keep your hands in your skirt.
Manage your own set point. Use tools to change your vibration. Raise your set point. Thank you for listening to the Keep Your Hands in Your Skirt podcast. Make sure to subscribe and please leave a review. We really appreciate that effort, and we'll catch you in the next episode.